Insane Clown Posse, Lyrical Analysis 101. So one of the first songs that jumped out to me from this list of songs was Yellow Bus. It's that classic Insane Clown Posse message with a fun twist to it. So basically, you're talking about belonging to a crew where nobody gives a fuck. You know everybody on that yellow bus. They don't give a shit. They're happy, they're carefree. That's the kind of message that ICP tries to spread, that you don't have to be like everybody else. You be yourself. And there's plenty of other people that are like you and you can fit in with that crew. I'm on the little yellow bus. Who wants us to pick them up? Come on. That's fresh. That's awesome right there. That's that classic ICP, I don't give a fuck kind of mentality with a funny ass twist, awesome beat, an all around great song.
This song, it's a happy-go-lucky, fun song, and the way I always looked at it was ICP have always been considered the goofs, or special, or retarded, or handicapped, or dumb, or whatever. And I basically see this track as them almost embracing that, saying, you know what, we may not be the brightest, we may not be smart, we're going to make a lighthearted track and throw it back in your face to show you that we don't give a fuck. And if you want, we can pick you up on our little yellow bus. So that's what I always thought Yellow Bus really was.
Switching to a much more serious tone is Under the Moon. Now, Under the Moon, originally when I heard it, I didn't really care for it, but the more I listened to it, the more I fell in love with it, and it stands out as one of my favorite tracks off of The Great Malenko. Under the Moon takes that feeling of abandonment, and it really amplifies it. It tells you a tale of people in love. Something bad happens, and the man stands up for her. He does something so honorable for her. He avenges her in a way that costs him his life. Now he's in jail, and as he's being punished, as he's being sentenced, she's told we'll always be together because we're both under the moon. As time goes on, she forgets him, she moves on, and there he is still left with what he has done for her. The feeling of abandonment is very easy to relate to in this song. And the song ends off, he's already said, and to the girl for who I feel this doom, look here, fuck you and the moon. So he finally realizes she wasn't worth it, and now he's saying fuck off, fuck you for what you did to me. And yet the song closes out with, I'm still here under the moon. Everybody feels that way. Something bad happens between you and another person and there's an abandonment. Naturally you want to have that person come back to you, but they won't. And that's what makes you feel the most abandoned, is the fact that you want it back and you can't. They won't come back to you. And it's a very powerful song. Very powerful song.
This track is about presumably Violent J, or it could be anybody, it could be any character, who has a love interest in high school, the one who's always showed him interest when nobody did, nobody gave a fuck about him. This person loved him for who he was and all that, and then one day somebody tried to rape his girlfriend, and he takes revenge by shooting a motherfucker in the face with his daddy's 45, and he did it out of a crime of passion. And then he gets locked up, and at the courtroom they say, the girl says, we'll always be together because we're both under the moon. And then Jay's in jail. He's riding away in there. He's writing letters to her. She never writes one back. She never comes to see him. And now he's just a shell of his former self. Until eventually, he starts thinking, maybe she's fucking someone else. Maybe she's married and all this stuff. So eventually he just says, you know what, fuck you and the moon, because you said you were always going to be with me because we're both under the moon.
Growing Again is actually a very simple song when you look at it and you listen to the lyrics. You're talking about somebody who's just growing uncontrollably, and they become a giant, and they become taken away by the fact that they're growing. Now, Several years ago in 2007, I was part of an online group called East Coast Juggalos. It was a forum, and on there was a post that somebody made about this song, and more or less about some of the deeper meanings behind songs that a lot of people kind of miss. And this one actually kind of has that. And when you put it in perspective, I've never been able to look at the song the same. I've always looked at it in this perspective. But you have this tale, this jokeful story of Jay growing uncontrollably and becoming a giant. But when you listen to the chorus and Shaggy says, "Watch where you fall down," that still ties you to the tale of what's being told. But then you have, "Now I'm growing again, now I'm growing again." And for me and for that person, it was kind of putting in perspective as, yeah, you'll fall, you'll have moments where you'll fall down, and you just got to pick yourself back up and you got to grow again. You got to be a big person. That's really a message that never really, I think, got across to a lot of ninjas. Maybe it hasn't, but it's always stuck with me ever since, and it's really changed the perspective of the song a lot. Watch where you fall down, grow again, get right back up, brush yourself off, keep going. It'll all be okay.
I always thought this was a really fun track, a really interesting track, almost like a fairy tale, almost like a Jack and the Beanstalk type thing, like where Jay becomes a giant. I know that's not really Jack and the Beanstalk, but he becomes the giant, and he just keeps growing and growing and growing one day until he's, knocking down buildings. He's, fucking sitting on people's houses and all that good happy shit. And it's a really fun, exciting track, and I really think it maybe in a way is kind of him saying he's growing. He's still growing always as a person.
Closing out, to me, really the true story of the 6 Joker cards. I mean, you have the Unveiling, which really explains the message behind everything, but I feel like the Wraith is actually the song that really puts everything in perspective, and it gives you the full-on perspective of what the Wraith is. Death is always at a shitty time. Don't bother trying to run and hide. Take his hand, cross to the other side. It's very powerful. That's when you realize just what they're trying to say with the 6 Joker cards and with what the Wraith is. The Wraith is death. You can't escape death. There's nowhere to run. There's nothing to fear. Take his hand, cross to the other side. That song, tackled on with "Pass Me By," really kind of helped me get over a lot of the fear of death. I took a look at the world around us, and I realized, there's got to be something positive after life, and I've just held on to that. The Wraith was one of those songs that has done that. And the song really kind of closes out perfectly, because you have a closing out of them saying, "Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, nothing to fear, step to the other side." It closes out, you get right into the Unveiling and what the 6 Joker cards were all about. And that is what makes the Wraith such a great Joker card.
Of course, the song is about the Grim Reaper. It's about the Wraith always waiting around for people to die, hanging on top of street lights, waiting for car wrecks. He loves the motherfuck out of crackheads and heroin because he's just waiting for him to die. And also talking about how people are afraid of him, how people are afraid of death and afraid of the Grim Reaper to come. But ICP saying what they don't realize is once he finally touches you in life, in death, eternity can begin. And death always comes at a shitty time and all that stuff. So this was my lyrical analysis for Insane Clown Posse. 4 tracks, how I always viewed them, how I always saw them. This was brought up by DC Fago Guy. This is something that we're bringing back to the Carnival Spirits channel. This is an old series that we're trying to revive and rejuvenate. And as always, check out CarnivalSpirits.com. Thank you all for checking out the channel and all that good happy shit. I'm Shanzi, and I'm out this bitch!
Nowhere to run, nowhere to